All right, dearly beloved, welcome to the open house Magic Mind session. So, inside the Magic Mind community space, we do two of these a week for 2 hours where we try and get as many people into the hot seat as possible. I usually start with an opening sermon. So, today's opening sermon is just about what it takes to close big deals. Going through the deal of my life so far with our kids' audio entertainment company, Majik Kids, that we've been building up for the last 3.5 years. We've been looking for the right strategic partnership, and we're a few conversations in with a really amazing company that feels completely in alignment. Um, and that's why I was a couple minutes late for this, as I was talking to their team about what is possible. And one of the things that I'm learning as I go through this, and I'd never sold a company. I've sold a lot of products in my career of 20 years, but I've never sold a company. And, selling a company is just like selling a big product. And, what we're looking for in sales, whether it's selling a coaching package to a client or selling a course, uh, it's actually not about the sale whatsoever, ever. What we're looking for is alignment. We're trying to find right alignment in all situations because there's nothing worse than selling a program or selling a coaching service to somebody who's not the right fit. And so as I'm going through this acquisition process is like I don't just want to sell my company. I want to find the right person who can take the torch that we've done and carry it with us together so that it can become what it's meant to be, so that I can focus my creative superpowers and our creative team on the story engine side of things, while somebody with the right networks and resources can scale the business side of things. And that's what we're looking for right now. So I've created, and I'll share this in a future one. I'm not going to share it today because it's not meant for the public yet. But I've written a 12-page Dreaming In document that is a really beautiful document for this partner that I'll be sending out later today based on all the conversations and the synergy and overlapping. And when we do a partnership proposal for Magic Media, we create a beautiful PDF that lays out the vision and the plan and how it will be executed. It's not just an email that says, here's what I'm thinking. If we want to get paid professional dollars for the work we do as professionals, then make the pieces of the business transaction that we're putting in place, whether it is a proposal, whether it's the invoice, etc., make it look professional. And that's how you get paid like a pro. The reason that we've built something that some of these huge companies that we're talking to right now are looking at is because we built a brand that's world class. We've done something that is top quality audio, top quality across all of the ways that it could possibly be. And so, whether it is our coaching, our brand, whether it is producing an audio library, making videos, even just creating a poster that you're hanging up around town, how can you infuse it with your own artistic expression so that people want to pay attention to it, so that it doesn't look like the 10,000 other people doing the same thing that are just cutting and pasting their AI robots text? How do you do that? How do you make it stand out? So that is what we're doing in this process of finding that right alignment with the right acquisition partner for Magic Kids is we're doing all the steps to make every part, our business plan, our pitch deck, even the way that we're showcasing our financials, we're trying to make it all look like a work of art because we are a story engine, we are an artistic engine, and so that's the game that we're playing. And so the question that I'm leaving you with today in this mini sermon is how do you bring more of your own artistic expression through the business that you're doing, through your proposals, through your pitches, through your courses, your video creation, your newsletter, blog, podcast, etc. It can be simple little additions because what I've come to learn in 20 years of creating magic on the internet is that live by the ABCs of always be creating, because if you're always creating, you're always improving. If you're always improving, your work keeps getting better and more professional, and that's how you get paid like a pro is you do professional work. And when we're doing the artistic expression of our work, uh, people will pay more attention because if we're having fun creating the things that we're sharing with other people, they're going to have more fun receiving the things that we've created for them. It's simple, it takes more time, but it's worth it because we get energized through our creative expression and the work that we're here to do so that it doesn't feel like a task we check off a list. It gets to be our artwork that we get to do on the day-to-day basis. And so if you want to make more money, infuse more artistic expression into the work that you're doing, find ways, every single thing. It's not about perfectionism and perfecting it and making it perfect. It's about incremental improvements to what you're already doing. So, for example, with the signature workshop tour that a lot of people are doing, you deliver the same workshop again and again and again and again. But you don't deliver the same workshop again and again and again and again. You improve it incrementally each time you do it. You make the slides better, you make them prettier, you infuse it with more artwork, you have more fun in the delivery because you get more natural and at ease as you do it, and you give yourself space to riff or tell a different story. You experiment and you try different things. And instead of perfection, we're just exploring the right alignment with how we want to be sharing our gifts in ways that charge our energy and make us feel really excited about what we're doing, which then will go into the people that are listening and that we're talking to, and they'll get excited about the work we're doing. And then they'll get excited about working with you. So that's how we do it. ABC, always be creating. So you just keep improving. That's the end of my little sermon today. Hopefully that gives you a little fuel for your fire. Thank you. I never get applause for these. That felt really good. Thank you. All right. So on that, usually when I give the little motivational sermon, if anybody has any reflections you want to share, feel free, and then we'll get into some hot seats. And we'll get as many people into the hot seat for coaching today as we possibly can. Any reflections or anything strike home for you? There's no need to share, but if anybody wants to share, go for it.
I'll quickly share.
Yeah, go for it, Brent.
I'm Brent here. Yeah, just feeling your energy, and I think that's really what I'm picking up is the importance of bringing my energy up to the right level and the ways to do that, and then infusing that. And I'm trying to do that, so I look forward to the hot seat today to help get your help on that. Thanks.
Beautiful. I'm excited for that too. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I'll share.
All right.
Um, what I find beautiful about it is that well, I've been like diving into personal branding more and more, and the what I'm getting from what you said is the more we infuse things with our creativity, with what's important to us, the more personal it feels, and the more people can connect with it. Because if you just take like a normal slide presentation and put your numbers on there, like there's just no personality, there's no vibe.
Yeah.
And we vibe with people we vibe with, and so
Yeah.
by doing that, you infuse your vibe, and then people can be like, yeah, fuck, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a perfect way to do it is your people will find you and resonate with you if your vibe is inside of it. And so, for example, if you're writing, if you have a newsletter, and I saw an email that came in yesterday, and I was like, okay, it feels inauthentic because I know for a fact this person would not talk like this if we were hanging out at a coffee shop. And the dead giveaway was they started the email with greetings. Could you imagine walking up to somebody at a coffee shop, a friend, and you see them and you're like, greetings? It just sounds so alien and unnatural to speak like that. And so that was just one example that I saw in my inbox. Whereas if that person was infusing it with their vibe, how would they speak? Maybe somebody who's got a bit of a potty mouth and some sass, but they're trying to be professional in the way that they're writing and communicating, is actually missing all their people because they're not infusing their writing and the creative process with that sass that is who they are behind closed doors. And so we want to bring our authentic personality and expression forward so the people that are meant to be working with us can be like, there you are. I've been waiting for exactly you because you're the one that's communicating in the way that I resonate with. And it goes back to the right alignment thing. So yeah, Vaughn, that was a great reflection there. Is like you infuse more of your vibe into your personal brand, your business brand, it's going to create that resonance that we're all seeking. Beautiful. Any other reflections? Nice to see you, Claudia. It's nice to see everybody, but Claudia, we haven't seen each other for a while. All right.
Hi,
Uh,
everyone. Happy Friday. Sorry,
Happy
Bradley. I
Friday.
just wanted to say, I jumped in. I didn't see your email, and I was coming back from the gym. So, but I wanted to jump in. I joined your Substack course, yesterday, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that maybe for some reason I got the date wrong, that today was the co-work. But anyway, either way, I love this topic. I'm all about brand vibe.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just wrapped up an 8 week kind of mastermind where I help people kind of do some of that. And it just always fascinates me how I need everything I coach and teach always.
Yeah.
And so we just really talked about like brand is so much more than just a logo, and it's so much more about the vibe and the energy of you being in alignment with who you are, and then really being able to communicate that through all the ways. And you do that so well and so authentically. And so I'm just doing my own work right now to kind of really focus in on how I want to spend the summer um, doing that more publicly. I've been doing it behind the scenes with my clients, with everything I do, but now it's like time to share it with more people. So. Substack, here I come.
Yeah. That's
More
great.
groups, here I come. Yeah, exactly. So,
I, whether it's Substack or another platform, Substack's great because it just gives you your canvas to play and find that expression and practice that expression and what happens over time is it creates lots and lots of momentum. And when everybody shares here, I'm just gonna pop your links in there, Claudia. I just shared your website so everybody can get to know each other. Since you're already speaking, we're done with the sermon part. Is there if you had one thing that you would love support with today or to bounce around, is there anything you want to jam on? And we'll try and give roughly 10 minutes for each person. And I can go until 11 a.m. for everybody, so we can try and get everybody through the hot seat.
gosh, well, um, I, sure, I'll go.
All right, let's do
Thank
it.
you very much. Hi, guys. I'm Claudia Miro, and my business is The Inspired Brand. I do soulful brand strategy, design, and development of websites, and basically help build awesome people's platforms so they can shine and share their work more authentically and beautifully. And yeah, I've been doing that for almost 16 years, which is crazy. I am really transitioning to a new chapter. I've been in a very long transition of not just doing all the things for people and really trying to scale my work, really, and trying to help more people and not burn out in the process. So, I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love inspiring people. I love having that light bulb moment like Bradley does. And so I've been trying to figure out, how to do that for a long time. Bradley and I actually ran a program a couple years ago that was awesome. And I think it gave me a taste of like, yeah, I really want to do this. And yeah, there's just been a lot of transition in the world and in my life. I I'm a brand strategist that hates social media. So that's been a really tricky thing to navigate. So I pulled myself finally off Meta this past January altogether. And yeah, it was bittersweet because for 15 plus years or whatever, I built my communities and my networks through that, a lot of travel around the world. So it just felt like, where else can I plug in to my people? And so I've known that I wanted to run a Substack for a while, but I just kind of, I threw myself. Actually, what happened was I decided to do what Bradley's been urging me to do for a long time, which is to put some content together and my own curriculum. And I launched a group program called Catalyst, and we literally had our final closing call yesterday. So I've been in this like 8 week cyclone. Literally, the energy of Catalyst has been really interesting because that name came to me like 2 days before I launched the program. And it's just been amazing to kind of see it all come to fruition, see that it really is what I want to be doing with the rest of my life. But now it's like my focus for today was, how do I repackage it in a way, because the idea was build all this content and then see what it is as a self-study course, as a few other products. because I plan to run it every fall and spring. That's kind of my running plan.
Yeah.
And then how to like leverage, now that Substack is kind of the thing that the strategy that I'm kind of going with, maybe landing on some sort of mini strategy or working strategy for how to focus what I share on there. Those are the questions I have. So I have the summer basically to kind of take a step back, reassess, look at everything, repackage it, and launch something else in the fall. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, with so there's a couple of tracks, with the relaunching in the fall, leveraging the assets that you've built. So one part is just like going through all the assets and, how do you make the next one more successful, easier, better for everybody, easier for you to run is like you've already built all the assets. So maybe it's more of a hybrid model that there's not as much like live teaching time, that they have the pre-recorded assets with like live coaching sessions. Um, I guess one question for you is like if you were to make 2 to 3 micro improvements for the next version based on everything you learn and what you experience, what would 2 or 3 of those micro improvements be that you think would make a big difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think the every time I have done a program of any kind, I'm always surprised how even though I don't think it's enough information, or I'm afraid that I'm not going to give them enough, it's always too much. Like that whole idea of we could have, I mean, I wanted to make sure they got their money's worth. That was what I
Yeah.
kept saying. I'm like, you guys are my guinea pigs. I don't want you to feel like, and anyway, what I realize now is like breaking it down into, I mean, it could be a year-long program. The truth is, it could be a true mastermind where we do it over the course of longer. So I think I would improve it in terms of focusing the content,
Yep.
or at least making it to where, okay, if you're going to do it in 90 days, we did it in 8 weeks, but anyway, just kind of figure out less so it doesn't feel like they don't have time to really work the material and integrate that. So I don't know,
Was
figuring
it
out
weekly for
that.
8 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the thing
Yeah.
is, in my brain, it was 90 days
Yeah.
initially. And then as we started, it was one of those things where it was like, I have to catch this wave. And in order to catch the wave, I either have to start it a month too soon or extend it into June. And I was like, I don't, I know that people are like checked out after May 29th here in Memorial Day weekend in the States. So anyway, I decided to do it instead of having it like coaching or sorry, curriculum one week, coaching the next. Kind of that was my pace that I had in mind.
Yeah.
It ended up being like content, 2 co-working sessions, like everything was jammed. And what I got was like, it would have been nice to have some space in there.
Yeah. 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 Um, One thing I learned through the signature workshop the last few years is the space of doing the sessions every 2 weeks is
Mhm.
really helpful so that people, it's like this live session gives people a chance to start getting momentum, but then they have that extra week or the 2 weeks between sessions to actually do the work. You
Yeah.
could throw in there just a work party, where people can get together and do the work, between the 2 sessions. For the business of transformation training that I led, this mostly for like meditation teachers and transformation facilitators that like set up their platforms and stuff. There's a month between each session because
Wow.
it's just a lot of work to get done. And so, if you look at the realistic expectation of like how much are you asking them to do 10 hours worth of work and there's only a week between and they're trying to run their business and do their thing? Or is there 3 hours of homework that you do? So I think if you get a realistic view of that, you can set up the expectations from the beginning of like, hey, everybody, this is what to expect when you join, so that you make sure that you block off the times to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we
I
never know. I mean, as
maybe
facilitators, we don't
three.
know
I
how long
think
these
it's
are going to
about three, but I also
Yeah,
think realistically, people have full lives and businesses. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think the other refinement would be, ooh, I mean, I think I would just queue everything up ahead of time, like having all of the little, really, I'm never, um, I never realized how much you really have to. lead people into the conversations that you want to be having in the space. Like, you hope that everyone's going to come in to a new platform, and we know the whole thing about like facilitating the community connection inside the space. And sometimes it happens magically, other times it's just not. This isn't like where they hang out every day in Mighty, unless they've done programs like that. So anyway, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have like scheduled prompts to go out certain days, but I was kind of yeah, doing it sort of off the cuff this round because there
Yeah.
was half of it was built and half of it was being built as we were going. So, but
Yeah.
it felt like, yeah, just more community tending would be built in, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the nature of the game. You launch a first program and you're building it on the fly usually, which is totally fine and fun, and it keeps you present to the moment of what needs to happen. Um, That sounds great. You sounds like you've got a few. If you haven't, well, it's fresh for them sending out a survey. One of the survey questions that I love that Tad Hargrave taught me is on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give the training? And if it's lower than the next question is if it's lower than a 10, what could I do next time to bring this up to a 10? And you'll get really great feedback from people and giving you their ideas on what would have made it better.
Yeah.
And then you don't need too many other questions because they're going to tell you everything you need to know in that second question.
Yeah.
And then obviously asking for testimonials and a image if they're open to it. For the Substack, so the question there, and there's just a couple or another minute and a half on this, so I'll just try and riff. I mean, you're going to get in the Substack Made Simple training. There's a bunch of questions you'll go through, but one of the pieces is like, what is the map that you want to be showing people of like if whether it's like, the spokes of a wheel, the pillars that make us stand. For me, I use the metaphor of like the mountain, and what I mean by the map are like, what are the topics of conversation you most want to be having? So that this becomes a creative practice for you that is really exciting. Are you going to be talking about personal stuff? Are you going to be talking about the transformational stuff, which I know you're really connected to? Or are you going to be talking about just business stuff? Like, what is the purpose in the landscape that you feel like you want to step into as you share this new chapter of your voice, your wisdom and life experience, so that when you go to your Substack, it feels like there's infinite possibilities on the things that you can inspire people about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, as you said, map, I just kind of realize there's a few maps that I've kind of created as part of the curriculum that I could use as sort of a guide, at least to just get started. But if I just pull out the kind of main topics, I think that came up in the program. That was kind of my postmortem project the next couple weeks is to just revisit some of the calls and just really see kind of what emerged for people, and maybe use those as stories that I at least start writing about initially.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like how to build a business and without selling your soul. How to sustain a business without selling your soul. Because it feels
Yeah.
like every time you look around, there's like, yeah, there's ways to make money online, sure. But do you want to be, hawking goods on lives, or do you want to be, you
Yeah.
know, doing your soul's work? So anyway, these are the types of things I want to just start jotting down and maybe using that. So
Beautiful. Well, there's a little community space in that course. So as you get some ideas and you want to bounce some things around, just tag me.
so appreciate this. Thank you so much, as
Fun.
always, you inspire me. So
Yay.
thank you.
Working.
Thanks everyone for
Yeah,
giving
great
me the
work.
space. Yeah, thank
So
you.
nice to see you. Who wants to go next? Is it Jana or Yana?
Yana.
Yana. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Finally got some sunshine in upstate New York. Um,
Beautiful.
so this conversation is helpful for me. So my background is I've been a grant writer for about 20 years. Sorry, 30 years. And and I also do channeling, spiritual channeling. And for a long time now, probably 10 years now, I've been transitioning away from the grant writing and more to doing channeling. And I did your course creation thing that you
The
did.
signature workshop?
Yeah, going up the mountain, the
Yeah.
that one.
Oh,
And
the Grady Course Adventure?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
Yeah. And I created a grant writing workshop that felt to me it was like my swan song. And so it's like I'll put in everything I know. It's like this is like the best I can possibly do for my entire career. It's still
Wow.
all going in there.
Yay.
And I just happened to finish it in 2019. So when the pandemic came, I got a call from one of my clients. I'm like, can you teach my entire staff? Because I taught that staff years before in person. And he said, they're now my best grant writers. Can you train everyone? Because they've got nothing to do because we're sitting at home. And so I did two. And then he went and he marketed it to the rest of the network of cooperative extension offices in New York State. So I did that in 2021 and pretty much haven't done anything with it since. So, and I did send, that's not true actually. I did send out a bunch of emails to people like him, sort of, saying that they interested in doing it, but I didn't have the same personal connection. He has since retired. And what I'm realizing from this conversation is I have never wanted to build this.
Yeah.
This has always been like, I want to put this in and let it go.
Hmm.
And the reason I turned up on the call today was I just decided this week I'm closing Teachable. I'm going to make sure I have copies of everything on my computer in the cloud. And then I'm just going to close the Teachable account because I'm just wasting money, keeping it going. And then I get your email about licensing. And
That's
I'm
what my
like,
brain's thinking.
oh, right. And I'm just like, maybe I could license this. And then the other part of me is like, oh God, like if it's a lot of work, okay, I don't have it in me. And I have tried over the years. I've been at the top of my game in the grant writing for, over the years and I have quite a lot of contacts and surprisingly, it's a very cutthroat. Some of the partners are very not collaborative. A lot of people want, a grant writing course for free or for cheap. I know one person who has the number two grant writing course that he just stole from the number one person and knows very blatantly he did, And so it's just, I've not had good experiences in trying to build, trusting collaborative relationships um, with partners in the field. And so yeah, so that's kind of where I am of um, I'm really just done with it. I
Hmm.
also don't want to put a bunch of time into updating it for AI
Yeah.
because, AI with grant writing. And but then when I got your emails, like, oh, I wonder if um, it's worth trying to license it, and I have no clue how to. I've also had, people steal there's also copyright and licensing, and I don't know anything about that. So it also feels it's precious to me. I feel like I put my heart and soul into it.
Yeah. Well,
And yeah, so that's kind of where I am. And and but just in this conversation, I'm realizing my energy is not in building. My energy is in this particular area, is in letting it go just altogether or passing it on to someone else.
yeah.
And I really just don't want to put a lot of my time and money and energy into into furthering it, I think. That's where
Yeah.
I am.
Great. Well, let me, in the 5 minutes we have here, let me tell you a quick story and then offer a few options on what could be possible. So, Uh, back in like 2009 to 2012, I taught 500 meditation workshops and retreats around the world. I never started teaching meditation with the intention of teaching meditation. I was asked one day by a friend to teach a meditation group, and so I showed up, I facilitated, they loved it. They asked if they could do it the week after, and then it became twice a week within a month, and then 3 times a week within 3 months, and then it just became my life and my living. And then I started doing the retreats. And I got to the end of this 3-year period and I'm like, holy shit, I just did 5 retreats around the world. I did 500 meditation workshops. I don't want to do this anymore. But I was seeing the way that it was impacting so many people. Like I watched people transform before my eyes. It was just like it was crazy. And I didn't feel like it was the responsible thing to do was not to just like let it go and die into the night. The responsible thing was for me because I'd been paying attention to the online world growing and I was like I'm gonna spend the next few years creating a library and figuring out how to get that out into the world to create passive income. And then, fast forward, and we did 48 tracks over the next year and a half. They've been licensed to 9 platforms. We've made over $500,000 and they've reached millions and millions of people. So for you, you have this asset. So one option if you don't want to be a part of it, you hire somebody for $20 to $30 an hour and they go find all the people and places that they can license it to. You create a really awesome pitch. You look for collaborative partnerships. You find the right people and places where you could just fit right into their ecosystem. I mean, we're doing so many licensing conversations for Magic Kids right now. I think by the end of the year, we'll probably have 70 different licensing platforms that we're working with for Magic Kids. And so you can sell it for a premium to platforms to then they can white label it, they can make it their own, they can put it into their ecosystem. So that's one option. If you don't want to be involved, you hire somebody to do it and you give it a good solid year and you have somebody working part-time on finding those partnerships. Option two, you look into your Rolodex at your network, you find somebody who's like in the game and they're playing the game hard right now, and you offer them to sell it. So you sell them the program. This is now your program. And it could just be like an acquisition of you pay me $100,000. This program is yours. I can do it and you can go sell it to all the places and license it. Or it's kind of like an acquisition opportunity with a revenue share of like, I'm going to sell you this program and it's yours and you pay me. I'm just going to make up a number off the top of my head because I actually don't know the numbers. $50,000 and you pay me 20% on every program you sell for the next 5 years. And that is that. And you find somebody who's got their mojo and they're in the game right now and they could use the creative asset that you spent all that time building and you just leverage it that way. Um, Option three is you suck it up. You give it the rest of this year. You look at your Rolodex. You make a list of 100 people that you know, and you create a personal outreach to each of them, letting them know about the program that you are getting out of the industry. And you ask if they want the asset and to make you an offer. And you see how many offers you can get and you see what comes of that. And then at the end of the year, you can close the door. Hopefully, you've got 5 or 10 deals that have paid you well so that you can have some retirement money for the years to come and just do your channeling. But those are 3 options that all of them feel completely possible. I've done quite a lot of licensing deals, and that is just kind of the nature of what we're doing at Magic Kids now. And I think all of those are 100% possible. I think you could easily create 6 figures leveraging the assets you've built. I don't know how good the quality is, but you might have to clean it up a little bit to get them to pay attention. But if you did a professional job back in 2019, then it should be fine. I'm licensing assets that we created back in 2015 and 16, and they're still growing traction every single day. So, um, yeah,
Have you
that.
have you had this experience for people in the nonprofit area?
I mean, I know people in the nonprofit area that are selling trainings and stuff like that, but here's the thing, it's like the pathways, most of the pathways that I've taken to build my business and craft partnerships did not exist or I'd never heard of them before I tried them. And so now I know that these models do exist and that licensing is something that is 100% possible. And with the right pitch to the right organization, you can make a lot of money. And it's not just like it's passive revenue that you can generate. And there's a lot of ways that these types of licensing partnerships can go, and they just need to be thought through. So yeah, I mean that those would be my 3 options for you to sit with for the weekend. And then, if you need support with mapping that out more clearly once you choose what path you want to take, that could be something that, we could do as a consultant or something. But I think I would not just kill it because it's an asset that has not yet reached its potential, and I can see you want to just let it go. But before you let it go, I would look at the licensing strategy. I'd give it 100% of your effort, at least until the end of the year, and then
Mhm.
I would let it go after you've done the final push.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that feels good actually. So, yeah.
because I think you could make you with the right types of licensing deals, you could set yourself up for passive income for years to come. Or you could walk away with a big fat payout that allows you to just like enjoy the years to come as you blossom into this next new chapter of your life's work.
Yeah.
So,
What's rattling in my head is I once did the top selling webinar for one of the big names in the industry. And in that one webinar, they made over 40 grand. I did all the content, I did all the presentation. I got paid absolutely nothing because they
yeah,
said they were doing it for the exposure. And so I'm just so sick of that.
yeah,
Just like the
yeah.
expectation that it's free. And,
That's why you
so
need a really good plan and proposal so that you're extremely clear and direct with your boundaries and the ask, and maybe you have one or two options available to them. But understanding the value in what you've created and the way it's going to impact an organization is essential, so that when you approach them, you can see specifically how it fits into their ecosystem. And this is a completely hired role. This is somebody else is going to be doing the pitching, and then they try and book you a 30-minute meeting for you to close the deal.
okay. All
Yeah,
right, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's in 10 minutes. That's what I got.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I would definitely come up with one of those three pathways or something better. Okay, who wants to go next?
Can I
Vaughn.
go?
Yeah, Vaughn, go for it. What's share a link of your website or how people find you. Oh yeah, and Yana, if you got a website you want to share as well to that program, feel free to pop it into the chat so people can check you out. And Vaughn, what is the one thing you'd love support with today? And what are you up to in the world? Oh, you're muted, Vaughn.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're in the hot seat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm
That's
showing up
okay.
as Vaughn. I'm showing I'm showing up as iPhone. Oh, Fawn. Oh God. Yeah, I'm from Germany, so it means iPhone from Yannick.
Okay, so
No.
your name is Yannick, not
Yeah.
Vaughn. Okay, beautiful. Now I got it.
I was so
Perfect.
confused.
Yannick,
I was
nice to
looking at
meet
the
you.
participants. It's like, who's Vaughn?
I don't see
Um,
Vaughn here. That's hilarious.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't. So what I wanted or wish would love to have input from you is I really really liked your signature workshop
Yeah.
that I attended last year, and I think I attended like two or three, and I think it's a brilliant concept. And I wanted to ask you about pointers of like how to come up with the title or like what you teach in that, because so what I do is I work as a style coach,
Yeah.
and I help personal brands build out their style, like so it supports kind of like the personal brand, the image, everything. So,
Cool.
and I'm so deep into it, right? So that it's very hard for me to then go back, like push out, right?
Do you have a website so people can check you out while you're sharing?
No, and unfortunately not. I'm only doing on recommendation basis right now.
Amazing.
Um, and so I wanted to ask you if you have ideas of like things that you would find cool, like topics that you would like to learn from me as someone who's building a personal brand and everything, or maybe like pointers of like what's important to have in, because I loved your title. I was like, this is like so fucking good. Yeah.
So when you say personal brand,
Yeah.
what is the transformation you facilitate for people? Like they go from what to what? What are some of like the check mark outcomes that you're guiding people through? Because like, a personal brand could be like Mark Zuckerberg. I noticed I've seen some articles about him, is like he worked with somebody who supported his personal brand that was like, we're gonna make you look cool now. You're going
Mm-hmm.
from the computer tech guy to like, we're gonna make you look cool. And
Mm-hmm.
so they've redesigned his personal brand based on his like a personal appearance. And so personal brand could also be like, communications and finding their voice as a writer or a content creator. So what are your areas of focus?
It's purely style based, so what they're wearing. And usually it's people who've had like a fair share of success and they're kind of pivoting the people that they want to reach, like their target audience. They want to have like reach a target audience that pays more, that's more premium in that sense, quote unquote, right? And what I'm really good at is, and what I help them achieve is to, I'm kind of like a translator. So I kind of like, I'm really good at picking up the vibe that a person gives and the personality, and then translating that into clothing so that they don't look like another business person. Like, oh, you have a shirt on and a blazer, like so unique, you know? So to really build a unique image that fits them, that fits their lifestyle. It doesn't have to be like super crazy over the top, but something that really, really fits them and is not what everybody else is wearing in their market or in what they're doing.
Interesting. So where you would like support is like what kind of topic would be helpful for a personal brand signature workshop to help people have that first breakthrough moment with you?
In terms of style.
Yeah. If anybody has suggestions, imagine you got somebody who's like they do help you with your personal brand, your look, your image, your feel, your vibe, so that you can elevate your career. Because let's just be honest, people who are scrolling the internet, there's beauty everywhere on social media, and having a brand that really resonates and stands out is an important piece. And so what I would imagine is like the formula for the signature workshop is you share a brief part of your story, your backstory, how you got into the work you so oftentimes that's like a low point, a turning point, and what you've done since, but that doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the formula. And then you get into your philosophy. So what's your school of thought? So your first job is to help people understand what you believe and know to be true through your life experience and through the work that you've done and the transformations that you've helped to facilitate.
Yeah.
Is like this is why having a personal style or a personal brand is important. And then we're going to take the first steps on the journey of helping you to reimagine what your personal brand could look like and feel like. And so, if you had me for 30 minutes and you were to like get me to, if we're imagining like, the mountain experience where the top of the mountain is the ultimate transformation that you could take me through, but you only had 30 minutes of my time to take me through my first experience of the work you do, what would that starting point be to get me started on this new mountain climb that I'm now gonna maybe hire you to take me on? So what is like the first breakthrough experience or the first thing that you would want to take me through if you had 30 minutes?
If it's one-on-one, I would reflect back to you the way I see you. So, and see if that is how you see yourself. And then suggest you pieces of clothing that fit that vibe. Because what you already have is what you have dialed in. It's like you have a very unique hairstyle, you have a very unique beard style, and it kind of like goes into a certain direction of like I'm thinking about it's probably he probably has these hobbies, and he probably enjoys that. Like I'm going like, I don't know if you like medieval festivals,
I'll go
or
LARPing with you. Let's do it.
or like juggling and like things that involve movement, um and creativity and fun. And I'm thinking of like fire, like bonfires. And so, and then I would like to would kind of suggest start googling around and suggest things that fit that vibe more than like a black t-shirt.
Yeah.
So how can I emphasize that without making it look like a costume, but like instead of having a blank canvas that is just a black t-shirt or a white shirt or whatever, what can be the first or one or two pieces of clothing that I could be like, hey, if you see something like this, I think that would fit your vibe very well. That's probably what I would do in 30 minutes.
Cool. And so let's just pretend you had, a group of nine on your call and you're facilitating experience for them. I liked what you said about like how you see yourself as like a starting point.
Hmm.
And then how do you want to be seen? Because like, humans, we just make snap judgments on somebody based on their appearance, for sure. Um, unless we're really accepting of all people and all flaws and, we're just living the love-based life, but let's just face it, the majority of
Yeah.
humanity not quite there yet. We're working on it, but we're not quite there yet. So I think that's a great thing. What sort of yeah, what sort of group experience could you facilitate where people walk away being like, man, that was really interesting and cool?
Yeah. That's like I've done only one-on-one work. I'm like, so I have no idea what I would do.
Okay. I mean, this is one thing that's popping off the top of my head. We're just gonna do an experiment, everybody, because I love experiments. So I'm opening ChatGPT right now, and we're gonna say, I need help. Oh, wait. Everybody can see this? I need
Yep.
help with my personal style. I need to rebrand my personal style. So, what kind of things do we want to consider? Help me come up with a new image that really helps me feel more myself. Uh, I have a cool haircut, but
And beer.
haven't found my clothing. I like natural clothes that I can play chi-ball and golf in. I like movement. I like earthy colors. Blue is my favorite clothing color to wear. What else do I want to feed into this? Because I'm going to upload a picture of myself right here. Where's my desktop? Magic Media Pics. Okay, so I'm gonna upload a picture. What else do I want to put into this to help it give me some ideas? Because then I can start to work on like a new look.
Uh, you could you could ask it to ask you questions to find. Yeah.
Yeah, to help me find a new personal style that feels more like me. Cool. So this is a fun experiment. So, um, tell you the story of your soul in three words. What would those words be? If your clothing could tell this, this is hilarious. How important is it that your clothes are easy to move, sweat, and stretch? And it is like essential. I'm a sweaty guy. I like to play. I'm playing all the time, so I need to be able to sweat. Uh, okay, I'm not going to answer all these right now, but I
Yeah.
could see you designing an
I can do something
experience
like that. Hmm.
just like this, and then all of a sudden it's like, uh, great questions. I'm not gonna answer them right now, but will later. Based on what I said in the first little piece of the post, please create an image with a new style for me.
I think my internet might be gone.
Okay, I'm just gonna make an image just for fun so we can close the circle. But your job with the signature workshop is to guide people through an epiphany, a breakthrough, something that like actually gets them taking a new step in their life. But before you can facilitate that breakthrough, you really have to sell your point of view to the people so that they decide whether or not they want to buy into your school of thought. So like my signature workshop or my thriving in business without social media, it's like the beginning of the story is creating relatability about like what I witnessed with social media and the division and how it's distracting people from what we're actually supposed to be doing. And then it's like what it was like when I left. It was crickets. I had to rebuild my life and my friendships and then how that related to building a business without social media. So it's like I take people on this story arc that's relatable to most of the people coming to that workshop who hate it. Oh man, it's doing the slow reveal here. Let's see. So your job as a facilitator is to figure out what is the best experience you can guide. And my guess is going to take you doing some experiments with people.
Yeah.
My
Like
goodness, I look
a hot
younger.
seat or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it could be a hot seat experience. Those are always helpful. But you also, one thing I don't like about hot seat sessions is they don't always make it relatable to everybody unless everybody gets in the hot seat or a lot of people get in the hot seat. So
Very true.
having something that everybody's doing, oh, that's not bad. That's not great. I don't think I would wear the sweater vest, but
Yep.
there we go. I mean, I'm sure if I fill out all of these other questions, it's gonna give me something that's completely different than we have here. So I just wanted to share that as like a really quick exercise. And it's like, okay, this is great. Where can I find clothing exactly like this? And then presto, we're gonna get a pop out here and we're gonna find, oh, here's some top brands that you could go shopping at. Bam. Now we've got your personal style guide. Let's go make a shopping list so you can get your new clothing and you can feel like the new you. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
So, that's the experimentation. In the signature workshop training, I mean, there's exercises that guide you through the whole breakthrough experience thing, which is such an important part. If you get 60 minutes with people. This is a new audience's first ever time experiencing who you are, what you do, what your point of view is. And if you can actually change their lives for the better and get them started on a new path in 60 minutes, they're going to be so much more likely to stay on your email list, invest in a program, invest in coaching, etc. It's like you got to bring some gold there that really gets people stoked.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any? I see there's some stuff in the chat. If you have any other thoughts or questions for Yannick, feel free to share in the chat there, because we've passed our 10-minute mark. But I think this is cool. I think you could have a lot of fun with what you design for a signature workshop for people.
This session has just like inspired me to like bring some more fire there and like,
Yeah,
get creative. So
yeah. Get
yeah,
creative. Guide an experience that kind of blows people's minds and gets them really excited about what's possible.
yeah,
My
sounds good.
my my wife is amazing at creating her personal style. I am not. Like I could care less. I understand like the value, especially in business, but she's got like big closet full of clothes, and she always looks like she's wearing something different because she's always layering different things in different combinations. Like she has infinite outfits because of the way she layers things together. And so, I feel like there's something here for you for sure. Yeah, this is a cool topic. I haven't heard this topic yet in all the years that I've been guiding hundreds and hundreds, if not more people. So I think you're onto something.
That's awesome. Happy to hear that. Like it's a bit of like it's not a broad thing yet to
Yes.
do that.
One last thing. So this is a must is instead of testimonials, you need to create case studies. So I'm going to just post a link here. This was a training I led earlier this year, but at the bottom of the page are a whole bunch of case studies. And case studies tell the story of the transformation, not just the testimonial. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a way more impactful way for you to get clients. I like every big contract we've ever gotten for Magic Media has been because people see our case studies, they're like, I want that for myself, and then they hire us. And so you definitely gotta show some case studies of people that you tell their story of transformations. Like, here's the before, this is their style, and here's what we focused on. Here's some of the questions I asked. Here was the epiphany they had about, how they want to be seen. And here's their style afterwards with like a bunch of photos of like the new style that we went with.
Yeah. And would
Cool.
you do them in written form or video or both?
Definitely pictures. You could have videos, and written. If you look through our case studies, you'll get a bunch of ideas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful work. Okay, who wants to go next?
Can I go next? Because I'm gonna have to hop
Yes.
off shortly.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
What can we do for you today?
Okay, so after listening to all of this, I think what I need, since I'm getting just going with the drumming and kind of restarting the qigong, and I'm revamping how I do it all anyway. Um, I feel like I liked your questions about or the things about feedback and rating 1 to 10 because I haven't been doing that. But I think on testimonials, I'd be curious if you already have like a pre-written guide because I feel like I have to kind of coach people. Like if you're just like, give me a testimonial of your experience, then it's all over the board and then it's a lot of editing and whatever. Um, is there, and right now my people's experiences are 1 or 2 things. So I can't do case studies. Like I could do a testimonial because it's a
Yeah.
one-time transformation. Do
Yeah.
you have something like that?
I 100% do. If you shoot me a message inside the Magic Mind, I
Okay.
will find it. It's in one of the programs that I've done, and I just got to go find it because I can't remember which one it is. So if you just shoot me a message, I will go seek it out and send it to you because um, it's in there. It's in the archives.
Okay. And then the other part of that would maybe be like going into the summer, just trying to figure out what's the best use of my time because I've mostly got my child. So I only have like 10 to 15 hours a week, some weeks when she goes to her friend's house. And so, like, if I'm doing signature workshops, the drumming stuff has to be in person. It's not an online.
Yeah.
And even the Qigong is an experiential, like, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
I could talk all day long, but like, you need to breathe for 5 minutes and feel better.
Yeah. So
Um, so
one
yeah.
thing that pops into my head, like last night, my son and I went to battle archery, and it was a bunch of dads and a bunch of kids, and we shot each other with foam arrows, and it was so much fun. And we're like, let's do this every week because this was the best. Um, and Play Chi Ball was born out of dads hanging out with our kids, and I'd always just bring a Chi Ball, and then it just kept evolving from there. I'm wondering, like, is your daughter showing interest in drumming? Could you do some like parent-child drumming experiences in circles? Um, could you do some like drumming adventures? It's like, hey, everybody, we're gonna go to this location on a beach or this park, and we're gonna do a drumming thing, and here's the cost. Do you want to show up and come do the thing? Um, I know, like, I lived in LA for a year, and Venice Beach has like a sunset drum. I don't even know. I don't know if it's every day or if it's multiple times a week, but they would get hundreds of people out doing these drumming things, and it was epic. And I'm just wondering, like, how do you incorporate what you're doing? Maybe you start the drumming sessions with like a 5 minute qigong practice to get people embodied and breathing and in a collective flow state, and then you finish the drumming sessions with the qigong, so people can. You're not compartmentalizing your life in so many different ways. You're not compartmentalizing your service in so many ways. It's like, how do you align all the things that you're doing with the lifestyle you're trying to live? And if you can include your kids in it, then yay. Because that's awesome. You know, with Play Chi Ball, we're doing 6 hours on Saturdays at our market on Salt Spring Island. We're getting 120 people in the off season right now playing on Saturdays. And it's my son's favorite day of the week because he's there, he's playing, he's with his buddies. Like, it's just the best. And all the parents are having fun and all the kids are having fun. Like, how do you build a culture around this service and business that is based on like health and fun and bringing families together? That's the first thing that pops to my mind based on my lived experience of what we're building over here. And I see a lot of alignment potentials for what you're doing.
And I would say, yeah, the community piece is a big thing that I'm working on. The kids are tricky because the younger they are, like my daughter wants to just mess and do her own thing. So that's a whole different, she's 7, but that's a whole different beast. As far as like the actual coordination to do the kind of drumming, I'm figuring out with the middle school classes I taught. 7th grade, they've got it. Sometimes when they're a little bit younger, some of them really just look kind of spastic when they're trying to hit the drum and they're just not
Yeah.
getting it. So it changes the experience.
Yeah.
Like it'd be a whole different, like I'd need like an adult per kid who already knows the stuff and who can help facilitate without controlling.
Yeah.
So that'll be a minute before I can build that. Um, but I like the idea of mixing because I did a women's like we did just qigong first, or we did drumming first, and then we switched into qigong after. But I'm having a hard time verbalizing to people what I do because what's happening during it is I'm constantly assessing and readjusting and switching all of my stuff based on how they're responding.
Yeah.
And they don't really need to know that.
Yeah.
Like that's not the important piece for them to know. Like even when they're doing echo patterns, like I'm assessing whether or not they can play them. And if they can't, then I'm switching the way that we're going to do the group experience. And
Yeah.
so
Make
I don't
that
know how
known. This
to.
is an improvisational experience that you're coming for. And you are deeply in the experimental phase right now. And so
Right.
that's like permission to be in the experimental phase. And so giving it a try of like incorporating some qigong into the
Hmm.
experience and playing around with some like parent-child experiences where they can come drop in and do it. And maybe it's parent-child, but it's for kids 10 and older or 9 and older, just whatever the age group it is. How old's your daughter?
She's 7.
Right. And is she in the age group yet where she's got enough coordination to be able to like get into a flow, facilitated flow?
She does, but she's kind of a different
Yeah.
she and the other kids her age are not the same. But hers, like, she's heard me play enough. She'll just put all the patterns together and play it and
Yeah.
sing. And she has no interest in doing anything other than that. So,
Yeah.
like, okay, hold
Yeah.
on. I've got to get everybody else caught up to where where you're at if we're gonna roll it this way.
Yeah.
But okay, that helps. But yeah, okay.
So I guess the question for you
Just hit that.
is
Hmm.
what does true alignment feel like for this offering that works for you? It keeps you inspired. It brings your gifts it houses your gifts into a thing that can generate revenue for you.
Hmm.
And it also in somehow, some way, like it aligns with your family's lifestyle as well.
Right.
And I feel like if you can get clear on what that alignment might be, obviously there's going to be micro tweaks as you go.
Hmm.
I think that's going to allow you to really blossom into the summer experience that is possible for you.
Yeah. No, I like the parent kid idea with the olders because my what I'm figuring out too is I do need an adult to kind of regulate whatever the behavioral things might be.
Yes.
I don't have time or want to mess with all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah, that might be helpful. And then just do it without an older group of kids.
Hmm.
Okay.
The one thing that I will say that is like paying off like gangbusters for Play Chi Ball. And it's Mike and Mai's intention of like, we live on a small island. There's 10, 12,000 people, but it's our main thing that we just keep repeating is like, we need to just be like, we need Chi Ball to be seen everywhere. And so we do our a couple times a week. We're doing a bunch of local festivals this year and it's happening. It's like Chi Ball is being spotted in the wild all the time, not just on our island now. Now it's like we're getting pictures from people in Victoria and Vancouver, like spotted Chi Ball in the wild. Oh, my friends were playing Chi Ball the other day. Had some random person send us an email this morning, and there was a Sex in the City episode last night, and he took a screenshot, and the lady was wearing a Chi Ball necklace, and he's like, Chi Ball's on Sex in the City, and we're just like, this is crazy. So yeah, I would just say, like, how can you adopt that idea of like just be seen everywhere so people can like find you, see what you're doing, be like, I want to bring this to my community. I want to bring this to my circle. I want to bring this to my people. I
Mhm.
want to do this with you. And doing public things is it takes some courage, but it's really cool once you get into it. It can be really cool. It's been unbelievably
Mhm.
cool for what we're doing.
And since this doesn't have a name or a brand,
Have you played with
how
that
do
yet?
they find me? Yes, I've done a lot of, it's just not like if I find a name that I really like it that feels like it's aligned with what I want to do, somebody else has it, or half the time it's a weed company for whatever reason. Like I pick
Have
the
you
same
have you
names as
played the
people who
name
sell
game?
marijuana.
Have you played the
Yeah.
name game with ChatGPT a bunch?
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, it needs a name.
It needs a name.
Needs a name.
Um,
Okay, bring that to the Magic Mind community. Do you have your website or anywhere that I can start to dig into your stuff?
I can give you my old website of what the just the Qigong used to be that it's not, that I need to completely redo, but that's all I've got.
So what are you calling it right now?
Depends on where I'm at, but we did like drumming up some fun, or the women's night was like community and connection with drumming and Qigong. Like
Yeah.
very
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
um
fine, but a name would definitely help. The baby needs a name.
and
Uh,
I don't know what that name is. And so that's
great.
what I feel like is whole I'm like, I don't have a website, I don't have a brand. I don't know how to explain to people what it is because it changes a little bit with each group. And it's me, like combining everything that I've done for the 40 plus years of my life into this experience.
Yeah. I mean, the more repetitions you can get in, the clearer it all becomes. And so
Mhm.
if I were you, I'd make this the summer of play and just challenge yourself to put in as many repetitions, big groups, small groups, medium groups, kid parent groups, etc. And just like as often as you can, because then by the time you get to like fall and winter, you've this thing that's like you're kind of picking away at it and like it's revealing itself to you. The quicker and more times you can do it, the clearer it becomes as it reveals itself to you. Yeah. So, but post in the start a thread in the brainstorming and feedback section of the Magic Mind and say this needs a name and give us as much information as you possibly can in the post. And then we can start to play the name game and I can start to ask you questions and we'll dial in on a name.
Mhm.
This is the week. Let's give it a name.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. Way to go. You're doing all the things. So, alignment, that's your homework, is like, what does alignment feel like in all of the ways that you can pull this together? Because ideally, you're building something at the foundation. This is the time to dream into right alignment so it works for you now and in your future. And so it doesn't become this thing that like is a burden to you and your family. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did you mean to mute yourself?
How'd that happen? Yeah. Brent, do you want to go next since you
Sure.
spoke? All
Yeah,
right.
great. Sure, sure. We're all talking about similar thing realms of naming, and I'm in that question too. So I've been doing corporate kind of brand facilitation, market research for a long time, and always been dabbling with you can call personal branding, self-discovery kinds of activities. I just finished my first pilot of a small program, 6 week program, and it was awesome. Uh, and it's the tentative, well, the original name was Find Your Leadership Spark. Um, but they're like, yeah, we're not, I don't know, we see ourselves as leaders. So I'm like, okay, so I need to rethink the naming of it. So so the bigger question is how the name of, say, the first program kind of fits into the ecosystem and even like your signature like if it's you have the workshop that goes into this program. So I don't have the workshop yet. I piloted the 6 week program, but eventually I'll want to have that intro workshop, the
Yeah.
6 week program, and then maybe some type of an ongoing community. I only took two women through the program, but they both said, yeah, we'd love to have a monthly mastermind community to continue to live our spark, basically, right?
Beautiful.
Um, so I've just been playing with names, like iterating on the name and haven't really landed on it because I'm trying to think about like how does it fit into like the 3 steps of the journey? Should it be the first step of the journey? Should it be like discover your spark or clarify your spark? And then the next one would be like express it, maybe like how you might communicate it and then live it. So
Mm.
those are kind of so then that's what I've been wrestling with a little bit. It's fun wrestling, but I'd like to land on it and kind of get my draft page up because to then recruit my next cohort and kind of keep going. My
Yeah.
goal is 100 people through it in a year
Beautiful.
to keep the price really low and just kind of like really get the repetitions like you're talking about to
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of what I'm up to and
Touring a signature workshop 100% will help you pull in the audience as well
right.
for the workshop. So yeah, so the Spark idea, is that the theme that you're most excited about? Like
Yeah, that seems to
like the
resonate.
ongoing theme.
I've come up with a message for my overall work that I do. Kind of feels like discover the spark that sets you apart.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love
And
that. Do you have a
I've
website that people can check out as well?
my website is so old, so I'll just give you my LinkedIn.
Okay,
So
great.
yeah, that's the most modern. So it's kind of, yeah. So it gives you a sense of what I'm playing with. So I do like the corporate brand ignition, I call it in corporate world.
Yeah.
And the personal side, I'm leaning more into like your spark but I've kind of gone with that as a banner, as a core message, just
So
because it feels like why I'm here. So
the
yeah.
first one was you said discover your spark.
The initial program was find your leadership spark.
Yeah,
Uh,
but they didn't like that name, so they're changing the
well, the leader part, yeah, they love the spark. They go, don't lose the spark.
yeah, keep the spark.
Yeah, keep the spark. So I'm like, I like the spark too, and it fits with the overall message, what I'm trying to be about, and I really like it. It's just finding the steps of the journey. Discover, unearth, clarify. These are the kind of words that have been living.
Beautiful. And so what is for I'm just going to call working title Discover Your Spark. So for that particular program, what is the main outcome that you want them to receive? And is that your signature workshop? Would that be like your 60-minute intro sort of thing?
Yeah, I think I would just build it off the main theme line, like
Great.
a yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what they got out of it. The main thing is they end like tangibly, they got a spark statement, so a three-part kind of positioning statement type of thing. But Um, and the big part of it, honestly, is what they got out of it is the inner stuff. So it's not really about personal branding.
Yeah.
There is that potential for it, but the two that have gone through it so far, it's really about their own sense of identity and kind of naming themselves. The one woman really claimed the word disruptor, being a thoughtful disruptor, and then there's obviously words around what that means for her. And the other one is heartfelt leader. So she really kind of like, well, wholehearted leader, sorry. So really kind of owning that core identity piece was probably the breakthrough for both of them. Is
Hmm.
really, yeah. So obviously there's a process to get to that, but so it's very much about an inner alignment, grounding, kind of sense of clarity, like how to show up in the world, within their work. One's changing their job from a teacher into who knows what. The other one works in education in a very chaotic space right now, which is
Yeah.
being disrupted. So it's very much helped her get really grounded every day to like, how am I showing up as a leader in this
Yeah.
chaos that I'm working in?
Yeah.
And that's that. So it seems like that's where the resonance is versus like personal branding. That's not really the lens right now that I'm seeing as the opportunity. So
Yeah.
it could be applied for that, but
Cool. I mean, this feels clear. Like the spark statement's a really clear, tangible thing. Like naming their unique their I don't know how you say unique sense of identity is kind of the idea of like around the thoughtful disruptor, the
right.
wholehearted leader, because then they can start to take that personality trait and apply it to the next phase. So what is the next program? You talked about like a 6-week thing that you will guide.
Well, that's what they got from 6 weeks.
Oh, that was the 6 weeks. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
not the 60-minute
6 to minute, I guess, would be maybe the first module, which would be start to unearth some of the things that, you know, so yeah, but yeah, at the end of the 6 weeks is basically what they went. It was a very deep process. I intentionally tried to not do a lot and
yeah.
just land on that and kind of unpack it. And we did, through 6 weeks, and they tested it out twice, gathered feedback and prototyped it and tested it, created a video. So it was kind of a fun inner and outer kind of a dance that they did. So, but that's the first step, and then after that, really would be like again, kind of living it. It's like in their case, they're not looking to create elevator pitches and update their LinkedIn pages based on it. They're just trying to use it to live and
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be aligned internally. Other people there might be a module in the future for like, yeah, how to write your LinkedIn page or craft your own workshop or whatever it is, right? So I'm not sure what the next step is other than just helping them live it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know if there is three steps.
Well,
Other than maybe there's a middle one if you want to come up with new language or other language for it. Oh, we got it.
yeah, I just threw some stuff in the chat as I've been taking
Okay.
notes here. So it's kind of like your 60-minute signature workshop is the discovery process of like maybe they've forgotten they have a spark. Maybe they've forgotten that they have something that makes them uniquely who they are as a leader, as a coach, as a
Yeah.
creator, etc. And so this is whatever this is, the first step on the journey. I mean, that's your story, that's your point of view
Yeah.
around why the spark is important and
Yeah.
why it's important to embrace whatever their spark is.
Yeah.
And then through that free 60-minute workshop, you sell the Live Your Spark program. So if this is a 6-week program, like your flagship training essentially, then this
Mm.
might be something that you run quarterly. You have a quarterly cohort or something like that, or a
Yeah.
twice cohort for 6 weeks. So you've kind of got like 6 weeks on, and then you refine an onboarding process. And you're touring your signature workshop here to a whole bunch of different virtual stages, teaching your
Uh-huh.
60-minute version, you're selling the next cohorts. You got
Yeah.
your next two cohorts available for sale on your shop so people can pre-purchase.
Yeah.
And then once they've finished that, it's kind of like the mastermind I could see that you're talking about with like a community space, ongoing resources, coaching support,
Yeah.
and community would be like the align your spark. So once
Mm.
the live your spark training is like to like really embody who it is. And then the mastermind is like it's all about the refinements and the alignments that can set them up for success in this next phase of their life as they're really fully embodying the spark and directing that out into the world, right? To create opportunities and to create momentum.
Mm.
That's what I'm hearing based on everything you were sharing there.
Interesting. Okay.
How's that landing with what your plan is, your roadmap?
Yeah, I like the stages. Just thinking about like discover is the step within the program, so I'm not sure how that fits with if I guess live your spark could be the program, and then discover would be the first step of it. And I'm just giving them a taste in
Yeah,
the signature workshop.
you're giving them a taste. That's right. So it's like,
Within live your spark, whatever training, I could still do like 3 steps or something like that if I wanted to, I guess.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And maybe, the I'm just pulling words, but maybe the Discover Your Spark, maybe that signature workshop is not that. Maybe it's the Spark experience. Maybe it's something else that
Mm.
essentially you want to share your point of view on what is Spark, why
Mhm.
does Spark matters, and how each individual has their own unique spark.
Right.
And when they light that spark, what happens to themselves, to the work, to the relationships, etc. So that's a theme of your signature workshop. And
Right.
then you have to guide them through their first experience where maybe they unearth or discover a part of their spark that makes them unique. And then it's kind of like, well, if you want to live the spark, then this is, here's the mountain that we go climb. It's a 6-week program, and this is when it happens.
I like that. I like that. So I could do like, yeah, whatever that spark experience or whatever, and then discover. I'll give you a taste in that of
Yeah.
discover, which is the first step in the live your spark experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Claudia seems like she wants to weigh in.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I love it. I
Don't
love
apologize. It's
what
great.
you've created. It's awesome. And I just want to add one thing to consider, I guess, is
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard of the Sparketype
Yeah.
work.
I know
Yeah.
Jonathan Fields. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So my only concern would be like you're competing essentially against an established body of work that may or may not be in the space that you're in. So
Not really. Not really. No.
okay, then perfect. And yeah, I'll pop in some ChatGPT ideas that I just gathered because one option is you could really make that bridge happen to having people consider themselves a leader no matter what their space is. It's like you're educating them and kind of helping them connect the dots to we're all leaders in some way, shape, or form, whether that's, or if it's just easier to kind of meet them where they're at with the naming. I think there's a lot of other alternatives for everyone, really connecting to that part of them that's wanting to be defined, to be unique, to kind of find their purpose in some way. So anyway, I'll pop some ideas in there, but I love
Thank
your
you.
work. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next steps for you, Brent. What do you feel like based on what's just landed here? What do you feel like the next steps are for you?
I'd say the next, well, kind of lock in at least a working flow of these kind of names,
Yeah.
the structure, and bounce it off a few people, probably.
Yeah.
At least the two that went through the program. See if I've missed anything. And then, yeah, my goal is to recruit my next cohort. So I'm at this point leaning on my network to do that. So I have a web guy, my buddy locally here. He's going to help me just put up a 1-page description of the program. So that's kind of what I see as my next step. But
Love it. Love it. And you got some great stuff here from Claudia as well. Thanks, Claudia.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Great work. It sounds exciting.
Thanks.
And I think, the we did some numbers. If you shoot me a message, I'll send you some of the numbers around like the signature workshop touring that's possible for you. But it's the ultimate way to leverage your network and easily get in front of new audiences and just do it again and again and again and keep making it better. And I think the goal of getting 100 people, if you look at the next year and running 4 cohorts, you deliver 20 signature workshops, your email list is going to grow by several thousand people, and um, you're gonna fill up those cohorts. So I think it's a clear roadmap, and yeah, definitely for this next one to get it off the ground, leveraging your network, doing the personal outreach, pick up your phone, go through all your contacts, and see who you've fallen out of touch with in the last several years, and tap them
Yeah,
on the shoulder and see how people are doing and see if there's any alignment there.
right. Okay, thank you.
Amazing. Great work.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Hi, Bradley.
Hey, Kat.
I am in the spirit of being in conversation about sparking, and I know there's not much time left, so here's a challenge for you. I just want to. I'm really noticing how you have become very alive to Substack, and I'm curious about that. I'm hovering on the brink, and there's something I just want to hear from you about, why this passion? What has sparked this for you?
Well, um, so one thing is like Substack has gained massive popularity in the last several years. They were one of the few platforms that did not censor people during the COVID era, and so they grew an enormous audience during that period of time. And as a result of that, there's been this pile-on effect that's taken place of everybody seeing the momentum that was taking place on Substack. And so everybody's coming to Substack because this is a great tool. Um, I've been using it just as my blog. We did about a year ago, we started an experiment, which is just an experiment of like how much organic growth can we get just by posting on Substack instead of our personal blog on our WordPress site. Um, it hasn't been a tremendous increase, but I wasn't using their notes feature. Now we're using their notes feature, which is kind of their social media network. Um, and so what I think is great about Substack is it can introduce you to new audiences. It's like a plug and play blog podcast. You can monetize it. You can allow people to pay donations. You can share stuff like a subscription of like, hey, my free subscribers get this, but my paid subscribers get all of this. It's like if you want the paid version of this, that includes the podcast episode instead of just the article. There's a lot of interesting creative freedom, and I just think if you're intending to get into writing and finding your creative voice or building your own personal brand, it's a really simple plug and play platform that you could get set up in a day or two, and it gives you the canvas that you need with the opportunity to connect with the audiences through the search engine. Because at least so far, as far as I'm aware, the algorithm isn't rigged like Instagram and Facebook and the meta platforms. Is like the algorithm for Substack is actually trying to be helpful, like the good old days, and help readers find your stuff based on the interest alignment. Um, and so for all those reasons, I think for a lot of people, it's a great tool. Um, I'm like, I'm not praising the gospel of Substack. I mean, regardless of what platform you choose, you have to do the work and you have to create great stuff that people want to pay attention to. And you still have to do the legwork of building and finding your audiences, which I think the signature workshop is the best thing possible for a creator and coach and teacher. Um, but the if you're gonna have a Substack, it's like you still have to do the work. Um, and there's no way around that of like just finding your craft. But even for people, one of our clients at Magic Media, Chayla, she uh, she's been doing like high-end business coaching for years and years. And she started her Substack and she has a paid subscription side of things just for her personal brand on like she's pivoting her career towards like creating a solo performance that she's touring to fringe festivals and stuff like that. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's like it's more of like her place to just like pour her creative energy into all the things that she's doing. So there's a lot of creative freedom for you to just use it as an experimental space for creativity. So, um, and it's cheap, you know? They're just taking a little bit of money if you're making sales. It's pretty awesome, and you know you go through the process and you set it up, and in 6 months from now you're like, actually, I don't like it. Like it didn't. It's not a big investment or risk because you can export everything to any other platform if you decide not to stick around. So those are some of the reasons. And the reason we created the Substack Made Simple course is every month in the Magic Mind, all the members vote on what training they want me to create. And we had the Substack course that we were starting to work on because it was requested. And I said, listen, if we vote on the Substack course for this month's training and release, then we can just focus all our energy and finish this thing for you. So that was what everybody voted on. And that's why we created it, is because everybody wanted it.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
Bradley.
so those are my reasons.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Chelsea, would you like some support? I can stick around a few extra minutes.
Yeah, I can go really quickly. Yeah, I'll so I had my first signature workshop.
Hey,
So that was a big yeah. I was kind of like crossing my fingers that no one would show up because I like literally just finished like the best draft of the slides beforehand because I ambitiously put the date out and I shared it to my follow up with anyone. So maybe no one will show, and I'm just hoping that that's the case. But people showed up, and so I did a first dry run, and
amazing.
it was stressful, but it went well. And I do feel relieved that it like happened because now it's like, okay, now I can just improve from this, but I have something. So my question, now that I've done this and it's not just in my head and I've talked it out loud, I can see that I would like to make the breakthrough experience more specific.
Yeah.
Because so like my whole and I realized I think based on a conversation we had before of like the Set Your Compass coaching session, if you remember, we talked about like about that. So I was thinking that probably like a really good call to adventure from this workshop for the remainder of this year would be like a the 3 session coaching package that is all around like helping people set their compass.
Mm,
And then if it turns into like if people want a little bit more, I could do a 6 session that adds the three extra sessions, and those would be around the like embracing, the good things of what that means, accepting the complicated things of what that means, and then living like the North, which means like taking the intentional action.
I love
So
it. And
I
it
think
feels,
I got like that just like kind of came to me like in the that I did based upon our combo.
I love it. To me that feels clearer and
I think
more
I have bad
structured.
internet.
Yeah, I think let's see here. Chelsea, maybe turn off your video. There we go. We'll see if that helps. It was cutting out a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
to me
Turn off my phone too. Yeah.
that
Okay.
feels way more
Yeah.
structured, clear, and outcome based than just like 3 open coaching sessions that could be about anything under the moon. It's kind of like you're setting them up. Each session is really intentional,
Mhm.
walking them towards an outcome, which is great. I think that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
curious, the signature workshop, aside from the stress, how did you
Yeah.
feel about, which is natural. I mean, my first Zoom call ever, first workshop, I showed up 15 minutes late because I had no idea how to actually let people in and log into Zoom and all the things. And I didn't think to figure that out before I got on. So, aside from the stress, how did it feel to facilitate, and how do you feel about your signature workshop that you've now designed? You've tested it. How was the response? Anything you want to share there?
Um, well, I think, I actually hadn't even done a rehearsal. Like,
Yeah.
so literally this was the rehearsal as well.
Yeah.
It was my first time actually going through the slides and saying it out loud. And
Yeah.
like, so it was quite off the cuff, but it does flow. And the people on it said that they liked it and it helped them think about things differently. And they enjoyed hearing like more of my story and also realizing that like there was some inspiration slash motivation and like, oh wow, I mean, look at all of the changes that she's made in her life. Like I
Mm,
can do things too.
yeah.
Um, so I think that's really good. And it really is exactly what I want and I think is perfect, for why I created this. So what it made me realize is like for the breakthrough um like moment or like transformation, um and I feel like I need to have something more specific of like, you know, it's one thing, that like if I wanted them to like leave the workshop with like one thing in that's part of their north, like that maybe they either like so that they can take any sort of action afterwards, like not that they're going to have their whole north, but like that they put something on it that they either didn't know or like solidified, or something, so that it's not just like, oh, thinking about life, differently or whatever, but like actually something like start something to be a more tangible like part of like the finding north, because I
Yeah.
afterwards, like I wish I would have been able to I wish I was recording. I didn't record the comments afterwards, because like one of the comments was like, yeah, like there's just, there's so many, I mean, for one, like I realized that there are a lot of things, going well, which is great. And then
Yeah.
she's like, but I also realized that there was a couple, like a lot of things that it's like I just know that there's like unease in there, but like I don't even know how to, like, I don't even know like what that is or like what to do or how to do. So like I feel like to have this be successful, like people have to have something tangible
Hmm.
that they're like, okay, at least this is one thing I can do differently. So I feel like I need to like work on that breakthrough better so that it can really lead to like something super tangible and like specific. Like the whole
Yeah.
is really just like getting to one thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, because it's like if you imagine again the mountain metaphor is like what they're doing in your signature workshop is they are taking their first step up the mountain with you. And so you want those first steps to feel really solid and tangible and like, whoa, they can taste
Yeah.
the potential that comes from walking this path with you.
Yeah, because actually, like, somebody else just wrote to me that is like one of my testers for Steady Steps, and I wrote to her and I told her like, oh, I'm going to be doing a video. Like, I realize it's a little hard to get, said that she's been doing Steady Steps, but she literally said to me, and I'm reading it. She said, what's got me stuck is the realization that I want to improve on a few areas of my life, and I'm not sure how to focus in on one or like for the purpose of the exercise, or even how to pinpoint what it is that I want to change and improve so that I could choose one thing for the exercise. So I feel like that kind of resonates a bit with like that same, like the thing that I'm thinking of, like for the workshop, of like, one thing that like there's just some clarity on like something, you know?
Yeah. 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 I feel like you should just go for a long walk this weekend and
Mhm.
go for an adventure and bring your journal and think about exactly that of like pulling this next piece together, and then book your next workshop. Do your next delivery in the next two
Mhm.
weeks. Send it out to your people again and be like, "Hey, here's a couple little pieces of feedback that I got from people. I'm going to do another test run before I take this show on the road." And get
Yeah,
another rep in because the more reps you get, the less stressful it gets. That's just the bottom line.
yeah,
And it sounds like, that was way to go. That's a big breakthrough to do the first version of it. This is a major milestone in your journey that you've been on. So, yay. Way to
yeah,
go.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah. You know, it did feel good. I was like, well, I'm glad, I guess it worked out that way because it was good to, you do realize how different it feels just doing it. Um,
Yeah. The
yeah.
number of
I mean,
times I've
yeah,
facilitated something where I prayed that nobody would show up is it's substantial.
yeah.
And
I mean,
every single
yeah,
time people showed up.
yeah. I literally like, but I pride myself also because I almost that morning went and was like, well, no, actually, I didn't almost. I went into the list and I was like, maybe there's only one person because I knew one person had registered. And I was like, maybe I can just email them and say, oh, something happened and I can reschedule it. But
Yeah,
then when I went in there, I noticed that there were 5 people that signed up. And I was like, oh my God, just off this one email, like 5 people. And I was like, okay, so I can't email everybody and tell them that. But I haven't reminded anyone and I haven't talked about it since then. So probably no one's even gonna remember.
that is
But then
so
yeah, like
funny.
so it happened. So that was good.
That is so funny. I had the same experience yesterday. I realized we had this like open house Magic Mind call yesterday, and I messaged Coralie at the end of the day. I was like, I just realized we had this. We've not promoted it at all. Uh, is there anybody signed up? If not, I'm just gonna cancel. And she's like, Yeah, we have one person. I was like, okay, I'm gonna show up. And so then I wrote the email at 10 o'clock last night that went out this morning saying that we're gonna open it. It's like, okay, well, we're just gonna do it.
Yeah,
It's
I
great.
know.
Yeah, it's always the
Yeah,
right people. It's always the right people. That was what I learned from doing 500 meditation experiences is like it was always the right people that showed up. Um,
yeah,
and that's just the way that it goes.
yeah. So it'll okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna yeah. So I made a commitment and I'll before I head into the mountains on the 20th, I have made a commitment that I am going to do like send another one like just to like my list and my people and I'm gonna do one more before I disappear for a couple weeks and
Love,
then from that I will start having like like the July will be it'll start the monthly. So yeah, I have another little like trial that I'll do, but I will do it before the 20th, and I'm going to invite Magic Mind people as well, just to get
love
some
it.
people in there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you'll get some
Okay.
folks.
So,
That's so
well,
great.
we'll see how that. Yeah.
Amazing.
All
Beautiful
right.
work, Chelsea. Awesome job.
All
Um,
right.
well, I gotta go make a smoothie and get
Bradley.
ready for my next chapter of the day, but this has been fun. Thank you for showing up spontaneously, everybody.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so
And
much.
Claudia, nice to meet you.
Yes, nice
I
meeting you.
will look at your website in more depth. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So nice meeting you. And I was just gonna say, yeah, I did a workshop. Basically, when I offered a bunch of new workshops this earlier this year, I just was like, if nobody shows up, I'm just gonna do it and record it and work out the kinks and have it be whatever. And even if like two
Yeah.
people showed, it was great. And it ended up being more than that a few times. So
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, just keep moving
Yeah.
forward and
The
it's all
reps.
practice, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway,
All
good
right.
to
Well, you
connect.
two have
Thank
a
you so
great
much,
Friday
Bradley.
and weekend.
Yeah. Happy weekend,
Bye.
everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Happy
Bye.
Bradley.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.